So my wife called me today. She was driving. She's on her way back home somewhere. I have no idea. And she's like, "Hey, did you see that picture of me and that baby?" I was like, "Yeah, that's an ugly baby." She's like, "The mom's in the car with me right now, Brian." I'm like,
insert foot in mouth.
I was like, "Well, all babies are ugly to me, so whatever."
Hello, my friends.
Thank you for joining us for the PEBCAK Podcast, a weekly information security show featuring some all-around good people. It is week 46 of 2022. I'm Chris Louie, and on the day of the recording, it is Election Day here in the U.S., the hotly contested midterm elections here. I already voted by mail, but we won't know what happens until the next episode. With me, I have my co-host, Duke Silver, who doesn't vote for Republicans or Democrats. He always votes for the pizza party.
How about this, Chris? Let's divide everyone right now. Red versus blue. You go first. Who'd you vote for?
Purple. The green.
The pizza party.
The pizza party. Not the lemon party.
Not that one, and don't look that up, by the way. And we have Glenn Medina, who once tried to vote for Jack Bauer as a write-in candidate for president.
Hi, everyone. Not Jack Bauer, but Elon Musk. But since he's not a natural-born American citizen, I don't think he can ever become a candidate for president. So
he has enough money. He could probably get that law changed.
he can buy his way in, like he did with Twitter.
Yeah, probably.
Anyone he can.
Would you vote for him? Anybody? What do you guys do? Yes, no, maybe so.
Why don't we save this for topic 4? Because hint, hint, there's a topic related to this.
I gotcha. Cool.
Sounds good.
No guests this week. Combined, we have decades of information security experience and are here not just to educate, but to entertain. We've got 4 awesome stories for you this week, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Today, we're going to open the show with some closing the loop. Skipping the opening topic, we'll dive right into topic 1, where a major network vendor bricked every single networking device in Russia. Next, an Apple phishing campaign targeting stolen Apple devices. For our third story, Krebs did some proper Krebsing and tracked down the author of the Raccoon Stealer malware due to poor OPSEC. And we'll close our election-themed episode with who we think could be our next president.
There you go.
Now, I'm going off script here because we have some late-breaking news that the winner of the $2 billion, so $2 billion with a B, $2 billion Powerball lottery ticket had one winner, and the ticket was sold in Southern California. So if we never hear from our friend Todd again, we know who won the money.
I'd be pissed if we never heard from him again. Because rest assured, had I won, you guys would all be retiring with me.
That's right. Go,
Yeah,
baby.
I think Todd would do the same thing. We'll hear from him once, and he'll make sure we're taken care of.
Post and ghost. I like it. All right.
Closing the loop this week, another professional sports league has been plagued with a cheating scandal. During the 2022 American Cornhole League World Championships back in August, Baggate is taking over, and the team who lost accused the winning team of using non-regulation sized bags. The bags are inspected, and they were indeed smaller than regulation size, which meant they're easier to get into the opponent's goal. In response, the winning team asked the officials to inspect the bags of the losing team, and they were also found to violate the bag size rule. Neither side was penalized, and play was allowed to continue. And for those of you wondering what cornhole is, it's that game you play at corporate picnics or at frat parties or at barbecues where you have it's a piece of wood with a hole in it, and then you just throw it to your opponent, and your goal is to get into your opponent's goal.
But wait a minute. This is not like the NBA, the NFL, the baseball, where the ball or the object is all supplied by the game, right? Like, so football, they always play with the normal football that the recommended football that each team doesn't provide their own.
That's the thing.
Yeah, like you're forgetting Tom Brady.
Yeah, no, but that's inflation though, right? I mean that was an air thing. But what I'm saying is the bag size was never the ball size was never an issue at any of those sports, whether it be a basketball, football, or baseball, right? We're just talking about inflation or the amount of air inside of it, right? But if you look at it for a cornhole, are you telling me each competitor has to provide their own bag? They don't provide regulation size bags for this?
Yeah, apparently that's the case. I think it might be something like esports where you bring your own gear, because like when I train for esports, I'm using my mouse, my keyboard. As long as the mouse and keyboards are regulation, there's no malware software, cheating software in it. You're allowed to use your own mouse, keyboard, controller, what have you. I think it's something like that. Like as long as the bag meets the regulations, you can use whatever you want.
I think this is going to be a change in rule number 52 of cornhole. I don't know what the heck they call it. So
it's under the section of BYOB. Bring your own ball.
Yeah.
Bag. Something.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I mean, this is a lesson learned. Always compare your ball bag
to your opponents, you mean, to make sure
Yes.
it's regulation.
Always compare it. Yep.
For our next closing the loop topic, the U.S. Department of Justice just seized the second largest sum of stolen cryptocurrency to the tune of $3.36 billion. That's billion with a B again. A hacker who exploited a flaw in the now defunct Silk Road marketplace was caught with the 55,000 Bitcoin, which at the time was a lot of money, but even in today's prices is about 3.36 billion, even with the massive drop in value. Good job, DOJ. Now don't spend it all in one place.
What do they do with all that money that they get? Anybody? Do they lower taxes? Do we get any benefit from that? Maybe we should put in. Let's vote a new law.
They get cooler toys. They get like APCs. They get other things to like roll up on you if you're a tax evader. Now there's an APC that'll show up on your lawn with 50 SWAT guys jumping out.
Yeah,
They're just going to buy a bunch of 0 days and then target another nation state. Simple as that.
they're gonna buy a 0 day.
I mean, think about it. Like, if you have to buy a 0 day, you need Bitcoin. At least they have, some currency.
Yeah,
do it.
$3 billion worth.
Anonymous purchasing by the DOJ. That's awesome.
Sure. Bet everyone's watching that wallet, see where it goes. This wallet is buying drugs. Like, oh, they know this is an undercover sting.
All you hear at the Deach household right now is, FBI, open up. They figured it out, Brian.
They found you.
Yeah, they found me.
All right, our last bit of closing the loop. I listened to the latest episode of a podcast called Bad Bets. It's a Wall Street Journal podcast, and they document the rise and fall of companies and people. Season 1 was about Enron, and Season 2, which is going on right now, is about Trevor Milton and the rise and fall of Nikola Motors, the electric truck company. Our buddy Igor, if you remember Igor, formerly from the private spy agency Black Cube, he makes an appearance. And he mentioned after working for sleazy employers like Harvey Weinstein, he went freelance, and now he helps people who are targeted by these private spy agencies. He helped the Wall Street Journal try to catch someone who was attempting to unmask one of their confidential sources. So go, Igor, go.
No kidding. Go, Igor.
Yeah, good job, Igor. But what about Nikola? I thought they're not done. I think there's a rise, fall, and maybe a potential re-rise, don't you think?
Yes, there's a meteoric rise, a meteoric fall. They're still in existence. They're still trying to make the Nikola 1, the first hydrogen-powered semi-truck, but without all the fraud and Trevor Milton at the helm. Really interesting podcast. I'll link through to it. I definitely enjoyed it. All right, we had a 50-minute episode last week, so opening topic we are going to skip this week, so let's jump right into our first topic. I cannot tell if this is hilarious or tragic, but you know that saying that the cloud is just someone else's computer? Well, network administrators found that out the hard way last week when Cisco Meraki wireless access points, managed by the Cisco Cloud, all went dark. U.S. networking equipment vendor Cisco allegedly disabled Wi-Fi networks managed through its Meraki service in Russia. According to multiple sources online, the company failed to give customers any warning and just renamed all the networks in Russia as 12345-sanctions. A consulting sales engineer employed, or should I say formerly employed by Cisco in Russia, said his home's network just changed to that SSID and became an open access point for anyone to access without a password. To their credit, Cisco did publish a warning back in March that it was winding down and terminating all business in Russia due to its invasion in Ukraine. However, people thought that the access points and the networking gear they purchased and licensed through Cisco would still operate. Since Meraki devices are managed through the cloud, Cisco just came down with a giant ban hammer and bricked the devices.
So I'm torn on this one. Yeah, like in one side of the coin, I'm hyped, right? Like we're sticking it to Russia. But if I'm hyping this up, then I have to cheer for Cisco, and I'm like, ugh, I don't want to cheer for Cisco. That's gross.
Don't be a hater, Brian.
Be a hater or congratulator, right?
Yeah, that's it. Kudos to Cisco, like I said. But think about it: if you were in Russia and this was something that you bought legitimately, right? Not like I imagine all these companies did. And now this network or this equipment is just offline simply because of some, like I said, the war that's going on over there. It's a terrible thing, but you bought goods and services and it's down right now, and you're trying to, hold up your network with shoestrings and wires. So that's tough.
Can you manually jump into those boxes and configure like a secure SSID and everything?
I don't think so.
No, they're 100% cloud managed. That's the difference. So with Meraki, even if the license expires, it's a brick. So just like if I buy a Ubiquity router from Newegg, it's mine. It's mine to keep. I can manage it through the cloud, but it's still mine to keep. I can log in locally. I can set it. It doesn't have to be managed through the cloud, but Meraki, it absolutely does. And that's how Cisco is able to brick everyone's device at the same time.
I think that's long are the days of where you get perpetual licensing for things. And now it's just, subscription based, right?
Constant subscription. Yeah, exactly.
It's pretty amazing.
Go
corporations for finding a way to commoditize that.
There's some funny comments. There's a link that Cisco engineer posted it on LinkedIn, and there's some comments that said, "Oh, this is illegal under Russia code blah 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 1234 whatever." And then someone else commented, "Is like, oh yeah, well go sue Cisco then. they no longer have a presence in your country. Good luck, buddy."
Yeah.
How much of their business, to the bottom line, do you think that actually impacts Cisco?
I'm guessing it was enough to be just a rounding error. They were pretty quick to jump on it and exit the market. And I would say for technology, not so much, because Russia has a giant embargo against a lot of this stuff anyways. They want a lot of their stuff to be in-house, but it's not to say it was zero. It's definitely a non-zero, but I don't think it was significant. Just like, Facebook's not big in Russia because they block Facebook. Same with Twitter and LinkedIn and all that stuff.
It'd be interesting to see what brand of manufacturer is in Russia for wireless networking. Ubiquity?
Linksys.
Yeah.
Linksys.
I bet it's Cisco, but with an S. SISCO.
It's spelled with a K.
The backwards K. Huawei. I bet it's all Huawei now. They're like one trading partner. They'll buy all their gear from China now.
Yeah, that's funny.
Interesting thing, though. The cloud is someone else's computer, and your Meraki router is just somebody else's router. Even though you physically have possession of it, it's owned and operated by Cisco.
So I'm surprised there's not a way around it.
Possession is not 9/10 of the law. Maybe it's that 1/10 that Cisco got away with now that it's cloud managed by them.
Well, not in 2022. Possession is called subscription now, so you must pay yearly to own it.
All right, for our second topic, I found an interesting twist on a stolen Apple device story. A woman lost her iPad when traveling through Europe, and I put lost in quotes here. She used the Find My iPad, and it said it was several countries away, so she gave it at least one last try and sent her phone number to the iPad, hoping someone would call her to return it, but no call ever came. Having moved on, 6 months later, the woman received a phishing text and a phone call purporting to come from Apple support to her phone, the number that she sent to the lost iPad, asking her to log into the iCloud account. The scam here is that the thieves that found her or stole her iPad could not reset the device to sell because it was locked with an iCloud account. They needed to phish her iCloud credentials to log into her account to release the device so it could be wiped and resold. Sneaky.
It is really sneaky.
Is anyone really surprised though?
No, not surprised, but it's a different take on it because Apple it was the so-called kill switch in that if you lose your device, it's useless to anybody else because it's locked with the Apple ID. Now, there's certain ways around it. People have come up with like fake receipts, and I think an Apple Store Manager can override the reset, but they set the bar a lot higher for these stolen devices.
I didn't know you can actually override that at an Apple Store. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think if you provide the original receipt, especially if you bought it through them and you're the original owner, I think there's a way they can do that because they said that another way they get around it is they bribe a store manager or they create a fake receipt for it.
But these things are serialized, right? I mean, there's a serial number, there's a date of purchase, it's digital somewhere. How could you not track that? Or it's just the hot thought that something might be legitimate because you lost a receipt and whatnot.
It could be. I guess, I mean, you just imagine to deal with the same old person like 72 days in a row. They're like, it's my iPad and I can't log in. And they're just like, all right, fine, we'll just do it. Like, even though nothing matches. So I think at some point in time, you'll probably just take advantage of it. What do you think it would take to bribe an Apple Store manager to do that?
Yeah, how much money you mean?
No, I think you probably get away with like, hey, you want some, Jeffrey Dahmer sunglasses? He'd be like, yeah, man. And then it's done. This is a bunch of hipsters. Not that being hipster is bad, but I just imagine that it's not that difficult.
I read a lot. I read some spy novels, so it's like, here's a picture of your wife and kids. If you want to see them tomorrow, you're going to release these set of devices and allow them to be reused again. So.
Yeah, the amount would have to be low enough that it makes reselling the device worthwhile, but high enough that managers willing to lose their job over it. Maybe it's like a stream, like I'll give you $100 per device, and I guarantee at least 50 devices a week or something.
Put them on retainer.
Yeah.
But you guys don't think there's like an up, down, down, left, right, swipe once, twice, 3 times, and then power button, and it resets the phone in factory position.
I think somebody would have fuzzed that by now.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's a bug bounty for that, like untethered jailbreak. I think you can submit a bug bounty to Apple for that. They'll pay big bucks for that. Yeah. Because if you do that, if you release the lock, if you can untethered jailbreak it, then you can also get root access to it and install Pegasus. So they're very much interested in closing loopholes like that.
I was talking to the CCO of a hospital, and he was talking to me about like how, like, you'd be surprised how much stuff is just stolen right off the dock at this particular place. And one of the things that they had done was to combat it was some type of software that phones back home to let them know like that this device has been stolen and that they can remotely wipe it. And he'd be like, man, it'd be like 2-3 weeks later, out of nowhere, boom, shows up in Russia or it shows up in China, and they're just like, boom, kill the signal, wipe the thing, go on.
Wipe it, and then what? Then they can reuse it, or is it dead to the new owner as well?
No,
right? it's just cleaning out writing it off. Yep.
Yeah.
A little Windows PC.
Yeah.
So it's interesting with the Apple devices. The Apple has the T2 security chip in it, and I've watched like videos online of just people raiding an Apple store and just stealing all the display devices. And I don't think they realize it, that those are supervised devices. And as soon as this report is stolen, it becomes a brick because there's no way to bypass the hardware T2 security chip on an Apple device.
Well, I think we talked about this before, though, right? It's could potentially used for parts, right? Screens, memory, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. But when you think of like a MacBook Pro, everything's soldered onto the logic board now. So you have to get someone really sophisticated that can unsolder it. And even, I don't even know if that would work.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you get the battery, the display, and the case, and that's it. Like the real money's in the logic board. So even if you steal it, you'll get $50 to somebody that's a drug addict might be worthwhile for them to take that risk. But you're not getting like $2,000 for
enough for the next
a working MacBook.
Yeah.
Yeah, same thing with stolen iPhones. Like you have these street level thugs that steal the phones and they pass them on to people more technically savvy, and then they try to phish the original owners. So similar scam. They can find the owner's original information, then they can phish their iCloud account, unlock the device, and then resell it. Otherwise, it's just good for parts. It's a screen, it's a battery, and it's a case, and that's it. All right, for our third topic, we are on episode 86 of the PEBCAK Podcast. Brian and Glenn, what are my two favorite types of news stories?
Puppies and alcohol. I'm confident this time, Chris.
Bunnies,
yes, that's
sure.
it.
Bunnies for sure.
All right, so you hit on a couple of my favorite things, but my two favorite types of news stories, hacking the hacker and stupid criminals.
That's right.
So this one falls in the stupid criminal category. The accused author of the raccoon stealer malware was caught in the Netherlands. A report from our good friend Brian Krebs, also a listener of the show, documents the journey of this guy that he took to get out of Ukraine. So Raccoon Stealer is a piece of malware that can be rented to steal credentials, banking information, files, and the like. It's a bad piece of malware, and millions of compromised accounts were found on the command and control servers of Raccoon Stealer. A 26-year-old Ukrainian national named Mark Solovitsky fled Ukraine after the Russian invasion in his Porsche, bought with money from his InfoSealer operation. He bribed a border guard to allow him to exit the country since military-age males were not allowed to leave and were supposed to stay and fight. He went from Ukraine to Poland to Germany and eventually ended up in the Netherlands. And do you know how the authorities eventually caught up with him?
Craigslist misconnection ad. Am I right? Huh?
Very close.
Okay.
He missed falafels in Ukraine. I don't know.
His girlfriend, who was traveling with him on this journey, documented every step along the way on Instagram. Face meet Paul. Not the best OPSEC there, buddy.
Should have left the girl at home.
He left his whole family at home, so yeah, he could have. So the TLDR of this, if you're an internationally wanted cybercriminal avoiding a mandatory draft and illegally immigrating into a NATO country, do not document everything on social media.
See, right now, someone in China is like, see, I told you guys Instagram was a nation-state spyware device. Whole time. No one ever listens to me.
That's why it's banned in China.
Exactly.
TikTok banned in China as well?
No, it's
considering it's a Chinese company, no, it's not.
Yeah.
But what you see on TikTok in China is different, though. It's celebrating academic achievements and sports stuff and encouraging them to be decent, amazing human beings and push the envelope instead of stupid videos of people eating dog food and blowing stuff up.
Mm.
Yeah, I think I remember when the U.S. was trying to force a sale of TikTok. I think TikTok is bifurcated into two apps. There's TikTok, which is the rest of the world, and then there's an exact copy of that app in China that's only available in China. I don't recall the name of it, but it is two different apps, but they have billions of users around the world.
Musical.ly and ByteDance, I think, or ByteDance is the parent company. Oh, and also on that, so one of the things that we should take a little page out of China's book is that at, I forget what time at night, maybe 8 o'clock at night, TikTok is just turned off for the Chinese viewing public. So you just can't even use it for mental health awareness. So we should be doing the same thing with our kids.
Yeah, no TikTok and no online gaming. They heavily restrict online gaming and social media use.
Anyways, we're talking about this dude that got in trouble because his girlfriend's stupid.
Very poor OPSEC.
Very poor OPSEC. Oh well. Hopefully it was worth it, if you know what I mean.
But this is the premise, though, right? I mean, if you think about it, the premise is that there's a whole bunch of these hackers or whatnot living in the Ukraine, and now that everything's going down in Ukraine, I don't know if people have shifted their mind on the fact that a lot of this crypto stuff was happening in that country before the war started, right? And they're asking for help now. I don't know where I'm going with this, guys, but yeah.
Neither do we, Glenn. Great job.
There were a number of operations in Ukraine. I think they've gone a little bit quiet, or they focused their attention on Russia. And similar, there's been operations inside Russia that got hit really, really hard by the sanctions. Like some groups like Evil Corp are already sanctioned, but like any operation in Russia now they're completely sanctioned. You can't pay them. I think their efforts are now focused on the war in Ukraine now. I think we didn't see like a gigantic drop, but maybe a small drop in ransomware activity after the invasion, but nothing like what people thought would be. This is the end of ransomware as we know it because they're too focused on this war. All right, for our last topic, it'll be a rotating topic every week. This week, in honor of Election Day, we're going to talk about what person do you think could easily become the president of the United States if they decided to run for it. So I'm not thinking of partisan politics here, but an all-around good person that the entire country could get behind. I'm thinking of Jim Senegal, the founder of Costco, who once told an executive at the company that he will, quote, effing kill him if he raises the price of the hot dog and soda over $1.50. He was a really of-the-people CEO. He capped his salary at $500,000. He capped product margins at 12% for a third party and 13% for a private label. Just an all-around good guy.
Wait a second. He's not that great. I thought Costco makes all their money from the memberships. You telling me they're making margins off of the products they sell?
They make the bulk of their money off memberships.
Yeah. Dude, you hear about grocery stores like razor thin margins, so you can't tell me that Kroger is getting 12% margin on third-party stuff, can you?
I think it varies. For the loss leaders. So like that 99 cent a pound turkey or milk or eggs, maybe they're razor thin, but they probably make a lot of that back up in other areas. Like the sandwich shop, the pro.
Guys, membership's like $110 a year now. You should probably validate how many members they have. They probably do fine with just membership alone and just keep everything flat.
Yeah, that's how they can get away with the smaller margins. So the smaller margin encourages people to become members, and the members is what drives their profits.
Hold the press. El Cheapo over here has the executive membership, not the Gold Star. Gold Star is only $60, and the executive one's $120. So look at Glenn divulging PII.
It makes sense when you do the bulk of your purchasing. I mean, you make your money back on that extra $65. Yeah, I think you do.
It's a math problem at that point. Yeah, there's a break-even point. If you spend at least X amount, the rebates you get back exceed the additional costs to get that membership.
When you buy as much toilet paper and paper towel as I do, then you'll make your money back every year. Deej. Hey, Chris, I don't know who would be worthwhile. I mean, I just
Elon.
No, I said Elon, right? But Elon would never be voted into office at this point, right? I mean, it's have to be an American citizen. Yeah, he's too polarizing. Well, actually, polarizing is what gets voted into office right now, right? So
it is. But the premise of this question is who could easily get it. So I'm talking bipartisan support.
Yeah, I don't know. There's not a person out there right now that's I think is trustworthy. So maybe AOC, but I don't know. I think
What about The Rock?
The Rock.
What about The Rock?
Yeah, The Rock could probably all around good guy, but Deej doesn't like The Rock anymore either.
No. Did you really say AOC? You think she could do it? Oh, I was like, oh my gosh, you said it was straight face, bro.
I'm trying to get a ride out of you.
I thought she was a little bit polarizing, but I guess I'm wrong. So
maybe Bernie? No.
No, socialism. I don't know. Again, too polarizing. I guess I'm with Chris on this one. This dude seems pretty good, and I would never would have thought of him. Mine and I missed the whole part, like, who do you think could easily become president? I thought it was more of like, who would you want to have your president? And that's like a no-brainer. I want Danny McBride. I want Danny McBride, but specifically the character from Eastbound and Down, Kenny Powers. That's a no-brainer for me. Kenny Powers. Like, watch how he runs K-Swiss, and you'll be on board. Did you guys ever see that video?
No.
Nope. All these obscure references, Brian, that I have to end up linking through in the show notes.
Oh my gosh. It's Kenny Powers, MF CEO, and I'll let you guys figure out the MF part. And
all right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I think a runner-up would be Igor from Darknet Diaries and the Bad Bets podcast, although I don't think he's American-born, so he can't legally be president without passing an amendment.
Definitely can't.
Who else? There's not a lot of people right now that I don't think there's a lot of people that I could put money on an easy.
Like, would you want an ex-spy to be a president? Like Vladimir Putin, he used to work for the KGB. Would you want an ex-spook to be president?
He's already president.
For the U.S. So George Herbert Walker Bush used to run the CIA. I don't know if he was actually a spook, though.
By the way, like that, you're treading on thin ice with that one. I grew up in a rural community, and spook meant something completely different.
Okay, well, spook means a former member of the intelligence community, maybe even the clandestine services. How about that?
Are you sure? Is that what Urban Dictionary would tell me? Is that what Google would tell
Probably
me?
Not.
I don't know where you get your definition of spook from, Brian, but that's what I understand. So
it's the second one. First one is a ghost.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, I can't think of anybody else that would like.
Yeah, I was even thinking like even celebrities like Arnold Schwarzenegger. You know, I think he was the last Republican governor we've had here in California. Thinking of even celebrities like that, I think most of them have already picked a side, so that it would be the case that they'd get 50% or maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. But yeah, I'm trying to think of something like a Ronald Reagan movement where 48 or 49 out of the 50 states would vote for this person.
But now we're talking about popularity of what actors and actresses and whatnot, right? I don't like that. I think what we think of actors and actresses are something totally different about what they really represent, right?
Yeah, like Jesse the Body Ventura.
Yeah.
I think Glenn's onto something with The Rock. I think he would actually pull that one off. I think he's got enough popularity around him.
Yeah, popularity, charisma. He would have good, foreign relations on the world stage, and a little bit intimidating too. Like when he meets another head of state.
Yeah, can you imagine?
Challenge him to an arm wrestling match or something.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Like The Rock is someone you can imagine, like, picking up an M4, flying to Russia, and taking out Vladimir Putin personally. Like he seems like, at least on screen, he seems like that type of guy.
Yeah. Is it just because he stars in Fast and the Furious, Hobbs and Shaw?
He's Hobbs.
He's Hobbs.
So I can tell you that the number one guy that wouldn't make it in there would be Harvey Weinstein. Although he would kind of fit the bill of a president, if we didn't know.
We'll flip the question. Who would never be president?
Chris Brown's not going to be president, that's for sure.
How about Kanye?
Yeah, Kanye's in trouble right now.
The Chris Brown thing always confuses me because he is a reprehensible human being for what he did, and of all the people that are cheering for him and his fans, they do not stand for the crimes he committed. That one really confuses me of why he's still so popular and he hasn't been like blacklisted.
Hey, I want to go back for Elon. I'm gonna cast this out there, right? Imagine what Elon did with Twitter, like removing and laying off a whole bunch of people because all the layers of not needed people. Imagine if he did that to the government and could just clean things off the plate. That would be cool. I'd love that.
You mean like something like Drain the Swamp?
Yeah, but I don't think that's a reality. Drain the Swamp is... You know what we need is we need to have these... What do they call them? where they're in office for so many years. This
Term limits.
Term limits. Yeah.
Term limits. Yeah, not only term limits, but lifetime members of politics, right? Like career politicians is what I'm looking for. You got to stop that.
Yeah.
I wonder, you think that's something that everyone can align on, is term limits? I feel like we all have to. It doesn't matter like what side of the fence you're on. I think that's something that I think we could all agree on. But I think to get that done, it would be voting against their own best interest, right?
Yeah. I agree. There needs to be some consistency. Okay, so let's make it 5. 5 Senate seats, and that's a total of 30 years or even 20 years. Just call it done after that, right? I mean, let's be clear here. We need new blood inside there. That I could vote for. Definitely would vote for.
You can get behind that.
But what politician is going to raise that as their platform? We want term limits.
That's their job
vote
security.
Me in. Yeah, vote me in so that way
security.
I can put term limits in. Yeah.
That would take like the entire House to approve that, right?
I think just a majority. I don't know if that's set by the Constitution, or it might be. If it's Constitution, they need 2/3. I think it is in the Constitution. That would require an amendment, which is 2/3.
With term limits? Well, they did term limits for presidencies in 40 something, maybe.
Yeah, and I think that was a constitutional amendment.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you'll need 2/3 at least,
I'm
plus
for it.
2/3 of the states.
I'm for it. I think the states would agree. Let's push this. Let's make this our platform going forward, guys.
You heard it here first.
Glenn Medina for president.
No, I can't because I'm gentleman. So never will become president. Governor,
I didn't
maybe.
know that.
Yeah.
Learn something new every day on the PEBCAK
That's
podcast.
right. Bad for OPSEC. Sorry, I didn't mean to put that out there, but yeah.
I could bleep it out in post.
There you go.
There you go.
Well, we continue to get great comments about our dad joke of the week. This week, our Glenn is up.
Thanks.
Gonna edit it twice.
Thanks, Chris.
Hey, boy.
I think that's funny. All right, so I saw this the other day, and I just had to put this out there. What's the difference between a crocodile and an alligator?
I know this one. Go for it.
Yeah,
One you'll
go for
see
it.
in a while, and the other you'll see later.
Womp womp.
Wah, wah, wah.
I like that
That's
one.
a
I
good
liked
one,
it
though.
so much I had to say it.
That
again,
is.
So, yeah.
All right, to wrap things up, people cheat at Cornhole. Cisco disabled every Meraki device access point in Russia. Don't get phished if your Apple device was stolen. The author of the Raccoon Stealer malware was caught because his girlfriend couldn't stop posting selfies, and vote Jim Singal for president. That's all I have for this week. We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. You can find us all on LinkedIn. Links will be in the description. Follow us on Instagram at PEBCAK Podcast. Thank you to all our listeners and subscribers who rate us 5 stars in the iTunes Store and Spotify and left us a review. We appreciate you all spreading the word to help grow the show. The best way to find us is to search for the PEBCAK Podcast on your favorite podcast listening app. For my co-hosts Brian Deitch and Glenn Medina, I'm Chris Louie. Thanks for listening. We'll see you all next week, and as always, have a nice day.
Go out and
Where are the
vote,
bodies,
everybody.
Garth?